Hi Friends is a podcast hosted by me, Dallas Wilson, cannabis enthusiast and Black Indigenous artist. Join me each week as I use cannabis with guests. Hi Friends is all about providing a safe, judgment-free space for Black and Indigenous folks to have a meeting of the minds. Through these herbal chats, we will be learning and gaining new tools to have healthier, healing conversations in the moment. Thank you for tuning in, and happy smoking! Friends, welcome to our next episode, and today I'd like to welcome my guest, NaMu. NaMu is an astrologer and numerologist. She's based on the East Coast, and we're going to kind of go into how our love for CBD and THC and astrology and all this kind of spiritual stuff ties into, our love for cannabis and trying to be healthy. So welcome, NaMu.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for joining me. Yeah, this is so awesome. We were connected by a mutual friend, and I'm so happy she told me about all of your services and just kind of what you're doing. Right now, I'm in a place in my life where I'm just trying to find other kind of tapped in, Black people, Indigenous people, maybe who can talk about some things that aren't so mainstream. So I'm very excited about today. And let's see.
Me too.
What will you be smoking or consuming today? Do you have anything nice over there?
Right now, I have my vape. And this is like a mixture of CBD and THC. So this is more like a sativa / and CBD mixed together. I only use this when I'm very have a lot of anxiety. I use this in public. So this is it also kind of soothes your anxiety during anytime you're feeling anxious, and it kind of calms it down.
Absolutely. I love CBD.
Me too. I love CBD. And then using a little bit of my little half of you could say my blunt right here.
Hey!
Some people call it a roach, but I don't think this is a roach. This is a half,
Yeah, you got some inhales on that for sure.
Right. And this is also some super lemon haze. So this is, I believe, a indica, I believe, or hybrid. I'm not too sure.
I was trying to think because I was I've definitely had lemon haze before, but I forget the specifics of all these different strains. But I know lemon haze tastes amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does taste amazing. And I put a little bit of lavender in there and a little bit of rose petals because for some odd reason I feel like lavender does kind of just soothes the high, and you're not as high. You could be very mellow. So I'll just put a little bit of lavender and rose petals in there too.
And for anyone watching right now on YouTube, so what NaMu is talking about, so you can get dried herbs, teas, lavenders. I have a smoke mix. This one has rose and chamomile and jasmine, lavender, marshmallow leaf, and all this stuff.
Marshmallow leaf is really good too.
It is. And incorporating those other herbs can help with other parts of your body. There's some for lung health or liver health or things like that, which is really cool. Let's see.
Yeah.
So
and lavender, I have asthma.
Yep. Oh, you have asthma.
Asthma, so lavender kind of helps. Yeah, and lavender helps. Doesn't make when you smoke doesn't make it harsh on your throat. So it kind of soothes it out. So lavender really helps all different types of physical health too.
Yes, I love looking up the the medicinal properties because I'm really into that holistic kind of thing. So lots of the plants and fruits and veg that we consume or have around us nearby are really beneficial for our health. So that's great.
Right.
Let's see. Well, today I'm going to be also smoking a vape pen. And this is, let's see, Haze, which I believe is a sativa. So Haze is a sativa, but I might also switch out. And this is Skywalker, which is an indica.
I like Skywalker.
You don't like it? It makes you too heavy?
I do. Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Yeah. And then next I have some raspberry sativa gummies. So this is a really popular brand here in California right now. It's called Wild Canna. And so this is what the edible looks like. This is 10 milligrams of THC. And this is completely vegan. So I'm going to eat this now because it takes a while to cook in.
Nice.
And then this one is the indica enhanced one. And what flavor? It's Marionberry. So that's kind of like what the case looks like. And this is the edible. This is an indica, so this is a little bit heavier. Just gonna eat this anyway.
Right.
It tastes good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, welcome to my show. I'm really hyped. I wanted to talk to you about something astrological that's happening right now. We have a lunar eclipse in Gemini, right?
In Gemini, yep.
And do you know if this eclipse has like a special name? I know in the past we've had beaver moons or this or this or this or.
So they call it a ring. A ring. And since like we have Mercury retrograde in Gemini too, there's a lot of air energies going on. So that's why like a lot of people kind of like just kind of having a hard trouble with communication. It could be with technology, it could be with a car, or it could be anything with, with their family or friends. So that's why like during Mercury retrograde, it's good to just kind of be in your own space, in your own solitude, and things like that. And a lot of things can be delayed. It's not just you, but it could be delayed just because there's a cutoff, or there's just like a delay with with projects and stuff like that. And I even had a delay with some of my services. I was going to do like a whole video series of Mercury retrograde, and then someone just told me just to back off. Because it's going to be just a lot of things going on with technology. And even a friend of mine, he works for Verizon, and he's just like, you always know about something's going on astrology wise. What's going on? Because we're having problems in Verizon. And I just tell him what's going on, like in the beginning of like Mercury retrograde. He's like, wow, like that makes a lot of sense. Because Gemini is all about Mercury. That's the planet of communication, and things like that. So a lot of things can be delayed, but it's good to just have it that delayed, because it's just telling us to just stay put, relax, just kind of do what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? You don't really have to do much, but just protect your own energy.
That's the approach that I've been taking, because I don't know like the specifics, around these like moon phases and this and that. I tend to do research, especially when I know a special like phase is coming up. But in my past, I would recognize that around the moon phases, like shit would be popping off. Whether it's like I would be getting into like arguments, or me not understanding people, or like, it's like what you're saying about technology not working. So even sending an email, you're like, why? What's happening?
Right.
And also with this energy, I feel like it, for me, I'm forced to pause, like you said, especially during these retrogrades, because I feel like making big decisions during this time. This is for me, this is for my life, what I've observed, making big decisions around these times can not be necessarily well thought out for me, like, or maybe it's just kind of like, I think it's the right decision, but if I would have just waited 3 days, or even slept on it or whatever, then I would have made like a more sound decision. This energy of retrograde as well, I feel like it brings things up from the past to challenge us. You know, the universe is like, yes, what do you still need to learn from the past, you know? So maybe you got an ex, maybe you have old friends that you used to, you know, hang out with, that you've had a falling out or whatever. I think I've observe that this is a time where maybe people from the past, energies from the past come back, and we have to, you know, use our discernment. Like, do we want to repeat patterns, or do we want to, like, in that cycle and create a new cycle? Even if it's with the same people, we can still create new cycles with them. And you know,
right. And that's what I feel with this eclipse. And it's not just Mercury retrograde, is we have Saturn, we have Pluto. A lot of old things are coming back just to test our, test our power or our strengths. And sometimes those exes come back, and sometimes they come back in so many forms of, like, through a text or through an email or through just stopping by your house. It's like, what is going on here? It's because it's that communication too. And everyone wants to be communicating with everyone, right? You know, but it's our job to kind of maintain in that boundary where, you know, like, okay, they coming back, but like, okay, let's not communicate with them, because the past is the past, right? We can't change the past, but we can also change what's going on in our present, our future. You know, are we putting some boundaries towards our exes and past people? You know, have we got the closure that we needed? Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel, you know, mentally with the retrogrades and the eclipse. We just have to maintain our own energy. Sometimes we could just be so attached to everyone, and people just attached to us, that sometimes we get a little bit lost, you know, and which is okay. But we just have to maintain, like, okay, we know what's going on. Let's kind of reflect, you know. And this is every retrograde, you have to do the R's, and with the R's, I call it reflect, recharge. You know, just getting that for ourselves, because we also have to communicate with self, you know. And once we communicate with self, then we kind of not just regaining our power, but we putting the strength in ourselves to, okay, we have to do this, we have to do that, but we doing it in our own pace, in our own timing, in our own space. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of what I'm picking up on what you're saying about kind of moving at our own pace and also being mindful of, like, the energies around us. What I'm picking up on is, like, the importance of setting those boundaries, especially when it comes to an energetic level. You know what I mean? Right. Sometimes we have boundaries as far as, like, no, I don't want you to come over today, or like, no, I don't want to do this activity or whatever. But when it comes to setting boundaries for, like, actual sharing energy, I think sometimes that can be challenging for someone like me who loves being social, who, like, loves the electricity of other people's energy. You know, I love my own energy, like, but don't get me wrong, but I also get really recharged from others. So I guess, how would you advise our listeners and viewers, or what tips would you have to be mindful or to protect your energy, not only during these times, but, like, you know, with other people?
What to do, like, what to be mindful as, like, one thing too is make sure you're around the energies that yourself recognize. You know, it's good it's really good to be around people that knows you, that knows your energy, that knows, like, who you are from the back of their hand. It's good to be around those type of people during these times, you know, because, like, they're not just gonna just protect you, but they're gonna have that safe space when you need to vent, or, you know, things like that. And it's good to be around those energies. You know, I have, like, a few friends that I go to, and it's good to be just do stuff, cook together, or just meditate together. Just simple as that. Just protecting your energy around people that they could just be very negative. It's just reframing your own energy as well. You know, just putting some boundaries. You know, hey, just walking away if you feel like there's an argument coming on. You know, you could wear as many crystals as you want, but you have to be willing to do the work, as into protecting your own, you know.
I love the way you say that, because there is this idea, let me get the incense, let me get the candles, my crystals, and I'm good. But like, no, there's work that has to go in with these totems and tools, to help protect.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely work has to be done. Like, as much times as we can sage and put and recharge our crystals during the full moon and new moon, it's still, yes, it will work, but it's still, we have to do the work. Mm-hmm. We have to do that shadow work, or we had to heal, from certain energies. It could be our families, it could be old friends, but we have to know when it's time to unplug, or to just set those boundaries. I love you from a distance, mm-hmm. but I'm not gonna entertain your behavior right now. I'm just gonna walk away. Mm-hmm. And sometimes words just put an emphasis on boundaries too. It's simple, like, I love you, but right now I can see you going through something, and I had to step away, or I had to take myself out the equation. Best luck to you, best wishes, best blessings, and just walk away. Walking away, it's just telling yourself, I'm better than this. I don't need to entertain any argument or any negative energy, because sometimes people can put their energies towards us. Like, we could have the most happiest day, and you have that grumpy person around you, like, oh, why are you so happy all the time? And, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go home.
Yes.
Just protecting your energy and just speaking up, because the more you speak up, the more people are gonna look at you like, oh, okay, now I have to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Putting that boundary between your space. Everyone has a bubble, so this is your bubble. If anyone kind of oversteps your bubble, you have to talk. Yeah. And sometimes I had that trouble where I couldn't talk, or just because, like, I'm just not just an empath, but I'm like really nice. Like, I care about people. You know what I'm saying? And there were times where, you know what? I need to put some emphasis on my words, so that way people can just not just respect me, but respect my boundary as well.
Yeah, and take that seriously as well. A professor in university, like, years ago, had said something to us that always stuck with me. Is like, sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you, yes. And that didn't really hit me until I really sat with that, because I was like, no, everyone understands that. If someone feels uncomfortable, then this and this, but that's the thing, like, communicating that you have boundaries and that you are uncomfortable is the first part of that, And I love what you said about during this time of the eclipse in Gemini, how it's Gemini energy is that of, like, vocal, it's communication. A lot of the Geminis that I know, they're singers, they're like orators. Yes, they are performers. Yeah. So whenever I think of Gemini, I always think of, like, this throat, like, energy. And what I've been trying to do recently is to, if I'm going to brave having conversations with people that could be like a conflict resolution type of conversation, I'm really trying to channel into, like, clear communication, because I think my Sagittarian energy, it's just kind of like, well, I feel this way, but also, this and that. But no, like, lately I've just been trying to be very clear and channel that that throat chakra, really, that kind of energy. But would you advise, or what's your opinion about, like, if there's around this time, like, a big conflict, like, say your ex or someone, a coworker, I don't know, anyone, like, is coming to you during this time, and they have something that they feel some kind of way about something right now, like, how would you advise our listeners and viewers to kind of handle high tension communication right now?
High tension communication. One thing I can handle is my own energy. I can't handle anybody else's.
Right.
So one thing, if I feel they are coming on to me on, let's just say, on a scenario at work, or just something that they did or I did, one thing I won't do is apologize, but one thing I will do is just recognize my own behavior. because sometimes that apology can just be weird because that's what they want. You know what I'm saying? But it's to recognize our own behavior and say, hey, okay, I can see where we both went wrong, and I'm going to take accountability of my behavior. But we can't blame the person, but we can also tell them, okay, well, your behavior as well. You know what I'm saying?
Hold them accountable. Yeah.
Hold them accountable. And sometimes a lot of people don't like to take accountability.
Yeah.
And so when we do, let's just say, like, I'm taking accountability for my actions, but the person wants me to apologize. What are we apologizing for? If we both did the wrong, it takes two to tango. You know what I'm saying? I could only take accountability, but we had to recognize our own things of what we did. And sometimes when, like, every scenario, a lot of people just want to have that control manipulation. Sometimes we just had to, like, you know what? Okay, let me reflect. Let me go back on the timeline and let's just see what I went wrong and what you went wrong as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all love at the end of the day, but we also have to take accountability. So how can a person just do that and just talk, just have a conversation, person to person? And a lot of people don't like to have conversations. So what we can do, one thing we can do, instead of verbally talking, is writing a letter or writing an email, text message, voice note, you know. And if you feel an argument coming on, step away from it for a little bit. All right, I'm going to walk away until you can talk.
Yeah.
Just and be calm, because sometimes that aggressive, let's just say, behavior or energy can trigger you into screaming or cursing, you know, because it's an automatic trigger.
And I think it feeds into that miscommunication as well. I think time when two people are arguing, they're coming from very similar places, I feel like sometimes. Or, you know, the root feeling is the same. They feel like something was unjust, or they feel sad or hurt or whatever. So, you know, but then when it's like you take it to that next level instead of just walking away or, you know, replying in that email, can I reply to this in 2 days, you know, like, let me sit and think with what you said, you know, I'm thinking a lot about it. So I need some time to, you know, reply. Yeah, it makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And the simple thing you could do without replying just right away or talking right away or just handling it right away, I'm going to reflect on this situation and I'm going to come back to you. And you know what? Next time when we talk, let's talk face to face.
Yeah.
Next time we talk, let's talk on the phone.
Right.
Or let's go for lunch or dinner, or let's go out for coffee. Because you, not just you want to be comfortable in a setting where you feel comfortable talking to the person.
Right.
And the person can feedback on what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you just have to let them go. And it's okay. You know, it is okay. Sometimes a lot of people don't comprehend the same way you do. And that's okay. We have to understand that. We have to accept that as well. But a lot of people cannot communicate, you know, and it's not anything have to do with us, but it's something personal that have to do with their lives and their triggers and their, you know, so trauma and stuff like that.
Just even listening to you speak right there, NaMu, what I was thinking about was how intertwined astrology and this kind of spiritual energy and just kind of awareness of vibration, you know, between people is so connected to, like, getting to know people, just humanity, you know. I think it's like slept on a lot. I don't think a lot of people like give a lot of credence, I guess, to astrology sometimes, depending on what circles you run in. But that's what I've faced, like, in my life, is like feeling like all of this has been so helpful for navigating those communications, for navigating those kind of, like, you know, weird lunar times and all this, you know, of feeling all this heaviness, you know, having something to kind of like relay it back to, like, okay, this is happening in the natural world around me, and it's manifesting in the physical connections that I'm having in this way.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to like open that up a little bit because you offer services to people, and I kind of wanted to hear more about that and kind of share with our listeners and viewers what even is, this astrology world that we're talking about,
I feel within, let's just say last year and this year, since we went to Age of Aquarius, I feel a lot of people are more open to it now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are more open to it now. And even with numerology, just, playing out numbers, but I also feel like it's a good conversator. It's really, really a great conversator. It's good to know someone, but in my opinion, we could get to know someone, and sometimes they could have that, let's just say their big three, which is their sun and their moon and their ascendant, aka rising. It could be very compatible with you, but in a relationship, they're very different. So sometimes, we can use that as tools, but it's good to know someone right then and there. Get to know them right inside and out. We could use the astrology sometimes, but I feel like, in our journeys, we need to realize, okay, humans are just humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I'm a Scorpio, but I am a human as well. We are human first. Well, with my services, what I do is the individual, they can either do a consultation first,
okay,
or sometimes if they are interested in more astrology stuff, I would just advise them to just like, okay, what you want to know more about your natal chart? That's the first question I ask. What you want to know more about your natal chart? Do you want to know more about your big three, which is your sun, moon, and rising? And then after they know more about their big three, they kind of go down towards like their natal chart. So that's just a basic detailed natal chart about their Mercury, their Saturn, their Chiron, their everything. And then I kind of go down to the aspects. So the aspects is just kind of like, that's extremely detailed, and it just sees why I have this and that, and why my conjunction is this and that, and it kind of goes in. It's so much detail. It's like, whoa.
How long does this take you to put this together? So say I'm a client, I come up, I say I want my full natal chart, I want to know,
your aspects and stuff like that. I'm going to be real, it could take a week.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
It could take a week, and depending on the person's comprehension, I could say it could take a month. But the person can, whatever I'm saying to them with their natal chart and aspects and stuff like that, I could just give them tools on how to educate, because it's good to have an individual educate themselves as well.
About themselves, about their placements, how they act in certain situations. Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, if you want to know more about your natal chart, and some of my clients, they be real with me, I don't think I'm ready for the aspects yet. I just want to learn a little bit more about my natal chart, basic detail, and I will just kind of explain to them as much as they can understand. Because sometimes a client don't understand conjunction, don't understand the astrological words, and I'll just break it down to them where they can understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it could be too wording, or it could be too much. But astrology is all. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's a lot of detail. And sometimes in that one sitting, it could be a lot for one individual, for one client. And what I do is just break it down for them, because once they understand like their big three, okay, I'm ready for a basic detailed natal chart now. Once they're ready for, okay, I'm ready for the aspects natal chart now, because now I have a full understanding of my natal chart. Now I want to know about the aspects. Once I get to the aspects, it's going to take a month or even a year to have an individual fully understand their natal chart. And then sometimes it might even take them a little bit longer, because your natal chart is a blueprint of you, of who you are. and then numerology, you also have a numerology chart. So that combined to that is just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
We got numbers, we got math, we got astrological energy.
Yeah. And sometimes it's almost like I take them baby steps, baby steps, because once I explain your natal chart, even the basic detail of your natal chart, they have questions. And that's why I don't tell my clients, my new clients, just don't jump ahead with the aspects in your natal chart. Take your time.
Right.
It's baby steps when you learn, because it took me time to learn a little bit more about even my own natal chart. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm thinking about, like, as you're speaking about this, and I knew what natal charts were, I knew about like your birth chart, like, all this stuff, but like hearing you describe it and like the time that it takes to fully understand our different components and mannerisms and this and that and energy, it makes me think about, like, if someone were to come to you to get this information, it's almost like you're presenting them back to themselves, but in a different configuration, because we know ourselves now as we are, like, socially, whatever, we know what foods we like, but when you kind of like break it down almost to like that metaphysical level, almost at that spiritual level, it takes a lot to process. And I was even thinking that for some people it might blow their mind a little bit, especially if they have preconceived notions about the things that you're saying, so you might say, oh, based on your moon sign you might be more inclined to blah blah blah, and having that person want to like maybe debate that or negate that, and then when you sit with it, just be like, oh, I'm this is eye-opening, because this is all falling true, this is all proven true,
and there's just and there's different systems of your natal chart. We have the tropical, we have the one of the older natal, like it kind of goes like what and sometimes I even ask my client what works best for you to understand your natal chart.
I love
that. My only goal is for my client is to understand what I'm serving them and understand that they're paying for my service, but I want them to fully understand what they're getting into. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like once I'm educating them and I whatever questions they have, sometimes they're like, okay, now I fully understand what you're saying. And once I go to the aspects, they have a better understanding. Okay, now I know why I have Mercury in this and Venus in this, and now why I know this conjunction.
Yeah.
And because the best way I explain it to them is like, remember in your last basic detailed reading in your natal chart, remember how I said this and that? That's why you have this conjunction or this sextile and this aspect. And then like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm gradually kind of like taking your hand and going little by little, not just kind of give you so much information right on the first appointment. You like, whoa, it's a lot, and then that's when they kind of back off from it. And that's one of my goals I don't want to do. So when I started my services, I kind of want to be more relatable, more personal. That's why like I'm not really on YouTube, and I even thought about doing like YouTube stuff, but I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm just so personal to my clients. I just feel like, what do you want to know of these clips? Or what do you want to know? Or how can I help you? Right. Because some people have different paths, they have a different journey. And some people are more knowledgeable in astrology. Some people are not knowledgeable in astrology. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes they just needed that guidance. I'm just like, okay, I'm here to help,
Yes, absolutely. And like what you were saying about having like that personal connection with the clients, like I feel the same way. We're in the day and age now where you can just kind of like monetize anything, make anything big, and do the YouTube, do this and that. And as a photographer myself, like what I prefer is just kind of like that slow photography process of like, let me find the client, let me get to know the client. Okay, client, let's go out. And like, let's, it's a more personal approach. And even just talking to you right now, I can already tell that, when people book your services, they leave feeling seen, heard, and like thoroughly cared for with like the knowledge that you're passing on to them, because you care that they leave with this knowledge of self,
Right, exactly. And I just feel like guiding someone with their spirituality, that's a lot of responsibility that you have to take in. And I feel like the more personal I am with them, the more that they trust me. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about the money or anything like that. It's like, can a client trust you with their information? Because this is their life. This is, like given a time and a birth and things like that, the person who they are, but can they go to you just for like to venting and I'm a peer counselor, and working in the mental health field, I use some of my skills from my services, and I use it on my spiritual services too, because mental and your spiritual and your physical all combines in threes and all combines in one, and I feel very important, because it's like spirituality and our mental health, like we have to take so much account on what we're feeding our minds and what we're feeding our bodies too,
I'm so grateful that you're bringing up mental health, during this chat, and tying that into astrology and spirituality as well. Like, so I suffer from depression and anxiety, and it's part of the reason why I like to smoke cannabis and CBD as well. I know that the feelings of depression and anxiety can be so heavy and jarring that cannabis helps make all of that a little bit easier and smoother to handle. But when it comes to our mental health, I think like we don't look, the average person, I feel like, doesn't seek a spiritual help for their mental health. And that's not for everyone. And like, I know there's folks out there who definitely do, and like, more power to you. Yes, I love it. But that's the space that I kind of came to when I learned about spirituality. It did filter into helping with my mental illness, whether that's talking to ancestors and literally like, setting aside time to like lay out like food offerings and just like ask for advice, ask for protection, ask to take some of the heaviness away, whether that's knowing my signs, or like the big three, and kind of like tapping into like my horoscope to be like, okay, what am I kind of dealing with today, kind of thing. Or rhythms, where you Google your biorhythms or whatever, and you can see how your energy is. So yeah, I wanted to like ask you with, on days that maybe if you're, maybe just like, I'll give you an opportunity to like open up and like touch on that too, like mental illness and mental health and
mental health.
Yeah, how.
So one thing too with me, like I have PTSD and I suffer from depression and even social anxiety. And sometimes my clients, even trying to like do services, I just back away from services, because once I'm not in a good mental space, or even like good physically or even mentally, I just take a break. And my clients know, they're like, okay, she's kind of going through her situation. I'm going to give it time. And I'll just let them know, like, hey, just taking a mental break a little bit. And it could give me like a week or two, and sometimes even a month. But if I cannot be a service to myself, why can I just be a service to anyone else? And it's good to just kind of like recharge myself, because it takes a lot of work, to be productive and do this and that and be a service to everyone, but we have to be a service to ourselves. So one of my strategies, what I do is just CBD, THC, but meditating and doing breathing, breath work. I find it, since I have asthma, I find it so helpful doing breath work, because it helps my anxiety. And also just helps me be mindful of like, I'm still in center, and I've been using that strategy with some of my clients that where I used to work at as in a mental health facility. Sometimes they come in and they get all jittery, and I just be like, okay, let's take 5 minutes just doing some breathing exercises, and before I even ask them how their day went, is just breathe. Because breathing, when we hear ourselves breathe, we could really feel our lungs and feel everything. And that's just simple, just breathing. And also too, just kind of being in nature, grounding myself, like taking my shoes off, being in the grass and things like that. Even just simple things, just kind of like self-love. It's just getting up in the morning. Getting up in the morning and just not just say affirmations, but the moment I get up, start my day, take a shower, I'm already like getting myself
the momentum
together.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand, like, just getting up, that's a big step. When you're depressed or just have a lot of things going on in your life, getting up is like the biggest thing that you can do. And that's a huge accomplishment. A lot of people think like, oh, you're just getting up. No. A lot of people with depression, they just stay in bed. You know?
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this is like the tail end of a depressive episode for me. And like, I was feeling like heavy depression for about a week, you know, but this was a 2-week long episode. And I don't think you're right. I don't think people understand that just to like open your eyes in the morning and then to proceed to go on with your day, to get up, to shower, to, you know, this and that. You know, I'll give a little description on like one of the worst days. I was trying to get out of bed, and it's just like, I literally stayed in bed until the last moment, until I had to pee. Like, you know, your morning pee. Like, I was like, I don't want to move. I don't want to, you know, this and that. And living as a type 1 diabetic as well, like there are things connected with this illness that leads to mental illness, you know, having prolonged low blood sugars, your brain's deprived of sugar. And like, you know, for me, when my blood sugars are up and down, it exacerbates that. And so I love what you're saying about, you know, recognizing that what you're going through is hella challenging. Like, don't deny that it is, you know, but you gotta, you know, try to get up and to start, and to recognize when you have accomplishments. Like last week during I was getting anxiety. I didn't want to leave my house, but one day I knew I wanted to go out when there was some sun. So like right before the sunset, I took myself to the beach and just like sat, you know, and just like listened to the waves. And for me, I will remember just like almost wanting to cry, because I was like, girl, you left the house, you took yourself to the beach.
Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. Like, I'm like, that's one thing I struggle with too. Like, not having that productive day. Sometimes I even blame myself, like I wasn't productive today. Or the only thing I did was just stayed in the house and just laid on my bed. But we had to give ourselves credit, just getting up and taking a shower. When we go through our depressed episodes, we don't think about a shower, we don't think about our hair, we don't even think about just maintenance whatsoever.
And as Black women, you know, I feel like we know how to be on top of our stuff, you know, when it comes to like hygiene, hair, this and that. And this last episode, I maybe people on Instagram saw I had put faux locks in my hair, and it was because I knew that this episode was coming, and I was like, I won't be able to take care of my hair, you know? And so, I mean, I guess that's like a tip that I would have if there's any other folks out there who are dealing with depression, is to kind of like recognize what's challenging for you during those times, and what you can do pre and post depression episode that can help you the next time, you know, it comes around.
Right. And I'm glad you said hair, because like before I had locks, my depressed episodes were just coming. I know for sure once I had my natural hair and the full blown Afro puff, I was not about to touch it. You know, and to the point where I would ask, like, like I would ask even a close friend, can you just do my hair for me? Can you just wash it for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and my hair would just be a struggle because I'm just like, I don't want to do it. Not because I'm lazy or anything. It's just like the energy
Yeah.
of processing your hair can just be a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Is, yeah.
Yeah, and
just
and
like one big knot. And I love what you said about like reaching out to people and being like, hey, I'm going through this, can you help me, you know?
Right.
I feel like I don't have a lot of Black women around me right now, and I knew that, so that is why, like, you know, I did my year beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the people that don't even have friends that can't do or just manage your hair, the one thing you could do is just find a stylist or find someone who at college that does like braids or box braids or anything on locks. Just tell them, hey, going through something, can you just help me out? You know, and it's you're taking credit on just making yourself feel a little bit better, right? You know, because I feel as Black women, our hair and our outside appearance just matters a lot. You know, even my nails, like sometimes I take better care of my nails and my feet than my hair, you know? And you know, sometimes it kind of makes me feel a little bit more better. But at times we're like, okay, I know for sure I gotta get my hair done, you know, but just getting my nails done and stuff like that, I just feel a little bit more better because I'm just like, that's the self-care I do, you know? And now that I have locks, you know, I'm grateful that, you know, I could just put my hair in a lock bun or just kind of have like a hairnet and I'm just good to go. Yeah. And I'm just good to go. But when I didn't have, you know, locks or anything like that, it was hard because now I would just not have knots. I would just have big knots.
Right. That's like mine is just one bit and you just have to cut all that out. And I'm just like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a pain in the behind. And I feel bad for even a stylist or even a friend of mine. They're like, girl, damn, like you just let yourself go. But sometimes they just don't understand that depression can just not just kill your energy, but it could just be like, oh, I don't have time for anything. Yeah. You know?
Even the word depressed, like when I was thinking about and like saying it, depressed, it sounds like deep rest, you know? And I felt like in some of my more like the last few episodes that I've had, it's just been like, it's been a lot of sleeping and like heaviness. So I do have some like manic times where it's just like high productivity, like everything gets cleaned and yada, yada, yada. That doesn't normally last very long. It's like 2 days of that and then it gets into the, you know, deep rest. And I was also thinking about how maybe there's things that I could be doing in my own personal life so that I'm more rested so that my body doesn't get to that shutdown point, you know? Right, like sometimes I feel like I get so stressed with stuff that I'm not managing, you know, whether like financial stress or relationship stress or whatever. And when you don't, you know, work through that, then it does kind of build and manifest. But what have you noticed like a pattern for yourself? Like
definitely, I've definitely felt a pattern. Let's just say during the past full moon, I definitely felt like there was just because I have like with PTSD, I have like certain flashbacks, and sometimes it's just hard to just manage throughout the day, and sometimes even.
Oop, your phone went out. Can you still see me? Okay, we're back.
Yes, I'm sorry. No,
you're good.
Some like a spam, one of those scam calls.
It's real. You were talking about this last full moon, and you were saying.
Oh yeah, I was saying that you know, I was getting certain flashbacks. And then like, you know, I kind of definitely went through a depression episode, and you know, it lasted like a week, but I just felt like I was just going in and out, like, and sometimes when those flashbacks happen, I feel unsafe. I could feel very unsafe in my home, and it could just be like annoying because I'm like, I can't sit still when these flashbacks happen. And sometimes I just take numbers of showers.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm just trying to like, oh, I'm dirty. I gotta, and it kind of comes internally, but I never understood it, why it happened like that, with my PTSD, because it could be my childhood trauma that I'm like facing during the flashbacks. And I do have a therapist, which I'm grateful for her, but I be real with her. I'll definitely be real with her. Like, I definitely feel like I'm having a traumatic event. Like, I definitely feel like I'm having these flashbacks again, and sometimes it could be a trigger, or it could be something that I watch, or something someone said. It could just kind of like, and that's what PTSD do. And like, as Black people, Black men and Black women, we kind of go through PTSD as a whole.
Oh my God! Thanks for saying this. Yes.
And as a whole, and I just feel like all of us have some PTSD, and even our parents,
their generation, hell yeah,
their generation, and exactly. And I didn't realize it when I was taking numerous of showers. I didn't realize, once I told my therapist, like, I was telling her I was taking numerous of showers, doing this and doing that, and sometimes like I write down what I do, just to remember, sometimes, and just to like reflect, like, what just happened. And sometimes my three close friends, they were like, well, you did call us to come and spend a night during that episode, and because you felt unsafe in your home.
Wow.
And sometimes I don't remember what I said to them, because I'm going through that traumatic event, because I feel like I'm still facing that traumatic event where I was a child, or a teenager, or whatever. And my therapist said, when you took numbers of showers, it's because you're trying to clean whatever dirt that you was in that day, or week, or whatever. And she said that's because of that you went through these traumatic events. And I feel as though, as a collective with all of us, I feel like therapy does help, but finding that right therapist too. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%. Like, finding, for me, I feel like every Black person should have an experience in their life with a Black therapist. You know what I mean? The first time I had a Black therapist was this past year during the pandemic, and now I'm with a new therapist, and it's the very early days. So that is kind of also bringing on the nervousness of rehashing up this origin story that I've already shared with another therapist, but I know that it's worth it, and I know that the work is going to be hard, but there's so much trauma that I really, I'm like, I can't just do this, especially knowing you're talking about generational trauma and generational PTSD, and just like how we pass that energy as well, from generation, in our community. And I want to have kids one day. And for me, it's like, I knew that I would not be able to have kids if I didn't do the work that would help me to raise healthy kids. It's like, it's not, they don't deserve to have my trauma be, dumped on them when I haven't been doing to resolve it. So, and I'm not saying that therapy makes someone perfect, I mean, like, you and I probably both know that it's a lifelong process, with therapy, and even then we're humans, so there's a level of recognizing and being gentle with yourself, but taking the steps to unpack all of that. I'm sorry to hear that this last full moon was a hard, we were kind of like messaging each other. I know we were both kind of going, it was heavy.
And it's so funny, like, astrology wise, that you're a Sagittarius and I have a Sagittarius moon. So it was like, and in the moon, it's all about your emotions. It's all about your, and it was like, I was like, okay.
I was crying so much. I was taking a lot of showers too. I was just crying in the bathroom, like coming out being like, okay, it's fine. Here, getting a phone call from someone, and then like waterworks, and just like high emotions. And
it was very high emotions. And I also feel like it was a flower moon. So what I got from my understanding, like, not just like astrology wise, but spiritually wise, you know, I didn't realize it that during the full moon, like my aunt, you know, even though she passed away like 2013, it was like her 8th anniversary was coming up, and I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And you know what? And I told myself, you know what? I'm gonna give my aunt some flowers.
Yeah.
Even though it was a flower moon, but I like, you know, I did have some trauma during that time because, you know, when you said about kids, I also thought about, you know, my miscarriage incident that happened like back in 2015 and stuff like that. And like a lot of trauma was coming on.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, what can I do to just get up in the morning and just do what I have to do for not just for myself, but for the people that are just rooting for me that passed on, because they still there, you know.
Right.
You know, and I just feel like I'm gonna give not just myself, but like my aunt, you know, because she passed away from cancer, like breast cancer, and then I'm gonna give, you know, and I had rainbow roses, and rainbow represents like, you know, that miscarriage and, you know, rainbow child or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me just do that. And I went to just like we went to the beach, I went to the waterfall where I meditate at, and I got 4 roses, 2 white ones, and 2 rainbow roses, and I just put an offering, and I just threw it in the water, and I just cried.
Yes.
And it was just, it felt so relief. I just felt so relieved that I'm just like, whoa, like I didn't know I was holding all that in.
Right.
You know?
And the release of it leaves you feeling so drained, so worn out, but so light. You know what I mean?
So
you are down. You're like, woo! But then you're just like, okay, that was a heavy load that I was carrying, you know?
Right. And I didn't know if I was coming or going. I'll check my outfit 1,000 times, and I didn't know what to do with my hair. It was just like, I was just like, what is going on with me? And I just had to be real with myself. Like, it's time to release.
Release something.
It's time to release. Doesn't matter how much you're crying, but it was time to release, because I had a lot to unpack, and I just had to accept, like, okay, I have to accept that even though she passed on 8 years ago, I had to release. Even though I went through that miscarriage, I had to release. Even though I have PTSD, I had to accept it, but I had to release. It was a good release in that. But when you think of a flower, we had to blossom.
Yeah.
You know, we had to go through that ugly stage, that, you know, this and that, but we also had to water ourselves and blossom. And that's what I got from that flower moon. I'm like, whoa. And then when I hit you up, I'm just like, you know, I just check up on her, because it's just like, we went through that experience, and I'm just like, okay, what just happened?
Yes. That was so validating to speak to you afterwards, because I was like, woo, this is a little bit more than I was prepared to handle, you know?
Right.
Know that it wasn't just me, and there's some other friends out there who were like, you know, this full moon, and I'm like, Sagittarian energy, you know?
Right.
It was wild, and I really appreciate you for reaching out, and I didn't know about your miscarriage. So, I mean, for any of our listeners and viewers who have also experienced that trauma, like, what has helped you in the aftermath of that? Like, for me, Mother's Day can be pretty triggering for me.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So how did you like deal with Mother's Day?
Mother's Day, I tried to, like, I give my respect to my mom, and you know, did what I had to do. But I try not to be online on Mother's Day. I try not to. And
good advice. Yeah.
And one thing I had to accept was certain friends that knew about my miscarriage just simply just say Happy Mother's Day. I couldn't take it, because I'm just like, what? And it
was too triggering if they said Happy Mother's Day?
It wasn't too triggering, but it was just hard for me to accept it, because I'm just like, I didn't realize that I am still a mom.
Yeah.
You know, and I am still, like, you know, I'm an auntie, and I'm you know, I'm a big sister, and I'm don't realize that all in that combined is a mother figure.
Yes.
You know? Yes. And like once they said that, I'm just like, oh, thank you. I know how to respond. But, I do have one close friend and my best friend that went through a miscarriage.
Mhm.
So I like to talk to some of them too. And sometimes we do grieve, and Mother's Day can just be just not just a triggering day, but this Mother's Day, what I try to do was just give myself like space.
Yeah.
And I think just like I bought a plant. I got myself roses. And I think I need to do that more often.
Yes.
Because like buying a plant or just buying a rose, you could just watch it grow, watch it blossom, and just take care of it. Because, and then like even spend some time with my cat, he can get on my nerves, but in that sense, I'm still a mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Our auntie can just have that type of mom energy, and yeah, it was really hard to kind of like get through Mother's Day, but I just had to tell myself like, what are some of the things that make me feel good? Buying plants or just getting flowers. Because we do have to buy ourselves flowers,
We do. I would do that all the time when I lived in Thailand. Go to the market. My house was full of flowers, and people would be like, "Oh, I was like this. I did this for me."
Right. And once you see you like it's a reflection of you, And I definitely felt not just this Mother's Day, but this full moon was just, it's a flower moon. It was just taught us to just blossom.
Yes.
Just blossom throughout our chaos, throughout our depression, PTSD, your diabetes, or even just simple, just kind of going through life, And we just had to give ourselves credit, just like we're still in the process of blossoming.
I love that. Yeah, it's giving yourself credit, like you woke up today, nothing in the past that you've been through has destroyed you yet. You know what I mean? You can
exactly.
do this,
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Ooh, I got chills. I love and so you were talking about how CBD, did you just start using CBD? Or has this been like part of what you've been smoking? I'm high right now.
You good. CBD, I've been using for like at least 2 years now.
Okay.
I've started getting more educated on CBD, like let's just say 2019. Mm-hmm. And once I got my, it's marijuana is not like legal here in Pennsylvania, but where I live at, but once I got my medical marijuana card, I was getting more educating on like just CBD and THC. How can it help me with my asthma or PTSD or, different stuff. And so I got more educated on CBD because it helps my anxiety and how to balance like, because I do want to lose weight, but how to and CBD does help with weight loss too. And so I got more educated on CBD just by the oil, just CBD oil.
Yeah.
And then and a close friend of mine, she got more CBD stuff. So she was just like, oh, they got the flower, you got this. I was like, whoa, wait, hold up. And then once I went to visit a CBD dispensary and where I live at, and once I asked them questions on what I'm going through, I got more educated on that.
Okay.
And that's when when I got my medical marijuana card, I got more interested on just combining the two. Mm-hmm. And I just been feeling like it helps me a lot. And I definitely want to not just offer services, but offer like marijuana and CBD as like a product, to help people with PTSD, with schizophrenia, with bipolar, and see what helps them and see if they can still take medications and still use that, what I'm saying, and see if it helps them as well.
If it aids,
I did find out like you could get your grower license, that. I'm just like, okay, I want to expand so much to a point where I want to have like my own clinic, holistic clinic. I don't want people just to smoke and just be high, but let's just see what can help you during your episodes. Because I use more CBD during my episodes, like my past episode that I, my flashbacks, I just use my CBD and THC pen, and it helps.
That's so funny you say that. That's like I was doing this. So this is my CBD, and this is like during my episode. That's what I was doing. It's not that I don't like still having that high when I'm depressed, but it can just intensify things like a lot. So maybe I'll take like a couple of hits, and I don't know if you do that, but like I'll take a couple of hits, but I'm mostly like using CBD.
Yeah, because CBD just kind of it does the job, and it doesn't give you that high, effect, but I feel like it kind of soothes you, and that's one of the reasons why I love CBD. But also, like CBD and THC mixed together is also great too.
Great.
You know what I'm saying, and especially when people kind of going through an episode, it kind of soothes it out. And you could, and one thing I love about CBD is that you can mix it with food, and that's what I do as well. I have a little separate CBD oil that I use for food, and that also helps me. Because it's just like sometimes I have cravings, and I'll just put some CBD on my peach, and I'm good. Some CBD on my cereal, I'm good. And I'm gonna do it every day. But like when I do have high cravings sometimes, and in the midst of like I'm trying to lose weight, it does help with the cravings. Does help with the what's like sometimes that the flavors that you want. Or you know what I'm saying?
Things for sure. I mean, I've only been using CBD for the last year, I would say. So I'm still kind of getting used to how it makes me feel, and I mainly started using it for mental illness, for depression and stuff like that, to see if it would help take the edge off of things, but I feel like the more I'm learning about it, it's just kind of like, okay, how else can we use it, and especially with THC, like everything that you're saying now, I'm like, okay, how can we do some sort of collaboration, like
right. Because it's I feel like it's so worth it, because a lot of people, especially our people, don't realize that this is medicine. Our ancestors, let's just say back in the day, or even before we even were slaves, used herbs to help pregnant women, or to help with our menstrual cycles, or even wounds. And because we went to a shaman, or we went to an elder to help with our stuff, and we didn't have doctors back in the day. We had people that knew about the herbs,
herbalists,
Rastafarians and stuff like that. And
I feel like where we are now, though, we've like, at least here in America, I feel like, and in my family, I guess, like we don't have that as much. Like for me, I've had to like go to different cultures, different countries, to learn about their herbal medicines and what grows native there. And like I've incorporated those into my life now, but I'm really craving understanding like African like herbal practices, and I wanted to I'm happy we're turning back to this point, because I was thinking about like even with astrology and numerology and this kind of science, like how is your practice, does it borrow, or is it fully based in kind of like the African astrology or belief systems?
Yes, a lot of it does, and especially the indigenous, practices, because that's in our culture. It's right in us, and I feel like all of us definitely should get back into our African spirituality, because that's where our power, like that's where our ancestral power is, and it did help us a lot, even though we had medicine people in our, village, tribe, but I just feel like we also had to remember what helped us and what helped our, ancestors too, because not just astrology and numerology, but just the medicine part, the holistic part, And even when I do have kids, I want to go to a doula.
Yes, me too. Never a hospital. I want like my baby to arrive in black hands.
Right. And even we had like we had mental problems. We went to like a person that knew about the spiritual realm and things like that, and it just goes in so much deep that it takes a journey or just some time to reflect on what our ancestors learned or did, and I think we just need to tap into more of that, not just religious wise, but like spiritually wise. Yes.
Paying homage to ancestors. That's really what I learned in Thailand. They do something called making merit. And to make merit, you're leaving offerings to those who have passed on. And you have a spirit house. It kind of looks like a birdhouse, but it's called a spirit house. And you put little like totems and this and that, flowers, offerings. And for me, that became a part of my practice, like leaving offerings for ancestors. And now, like, if you look around my room, there's like items, totems from all of these different family members that like have given me things or that I've like acquired after their death, and that like makes me feel good and connected to them. And I feel like, this whole connection to African spirituality, I wish there was more out there about it. We learn about Christianity, we learn about Catholicism, we learn about Judaism and all this stuff. In my world religions classes in high school, this wasn't even a topic about African spirituality and beliefs and religion, and so
it was looked upon of like it's bad, it's
dark magic.
It's dark magic. And I'm Caribbean, so it was called like, oh, it's juju, it's voodoo, it's all that. And when I got into more of my spiritual awakening, I realized like and I was raised Sunni Muslim. And when I got back into more of just my own spirituality and my own thoughts and beliefs, I'm just like, we've forgotten a lot about all of this, and it was just,
and a lot of it is nature based too. So it's like when we forget about that, we're forgetting about our connection with nature.
Right. And then we have a connection of our indigenous people that were here first in America, our Native Americans, ancestors, and they were spiritual as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And it's all combined into African spirituality as well, because we all share that as just not just as people, but as tribes. You know what I'm saying? And we've forgotten a lot, and I'm still, even though like I'm doing my service, I'm still learning because it's a journey in itself, And I even updated my altar during my episode, and once I did that, I'm just like, whoa, like it was so nice.
That's a great idea. I need to alter mine. Wow.
And once you do that, you just feel more energized. And I even like cook certain things to like put an offering there. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what, if they like this, they're gonna like this. You know what I'm saying?
What kind of stuff do you cook for the fans?
Okay, so I cook like rice and beans, I cook some vegetables. I even did like cornbread.
They were having a good time.
And sometimes I even leave a little cigar. Or even and some alcohol too, because sometimes your ancestors want to turn it up too.
That's what I'm saying, I'm like, more people should go to visit their ancestors at the grave with a little, hang out.
Right. And I feel like, you don't even have to have a big altar. I have my altar is on top of my fridge. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a small apartment. And I have a cat, and I want to just put it on a table because he gets into it. Right, exactly. And I just feel like as much as I put in my altar, I'm putting it into myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it makes me feel good looking at it every day. You know, and sometimes when I lit my candles on certain days, and sometimes I just do it on all Sundays when I'm home, and I just like, wow, I put my little sing bowl, and I just play for them sometimes, or even play some music for them, and it's just like you could just see the little candles dancing and stuff like that, you know, and sometimes I'll just leave like different treats for them, you know, if it's definitely like cookies or any type of sweet, because I know one of them I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah, sweet tooth.
And I just like, once I leave it there, I leave it there. And sometimes I leave fruits for them, and sometimes I just think about even a meal that I want to cook for them, and just like basic soul food stuff. Like I work macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and stuff like that. Just have a little bowl for them, and I'm just like, here y'all go.
I love that. Yes, this like that kind of energy I've only kind of like recently kind of come into life has also made me start using that with the family and people around me that are still here. You know what I mean? There's something about like not being able to communicate with someone, you know, like whether it's a grandparent or whatever, that like makes you look at your parents that are here and you're like, okay, like let me prioritize, let me give them a call, let me write a letter, let me do this and that. I mean, like, so I feel like it's even kind of spirituality and astrology that's kind of helped me get closer to my family as well, you know, along with, you know, the THC and CBD. Because I feel like before I started smoking, I feel like I was too tightly wound, you know, there's too much, like, I'm not chill, you know, and then when I got chill and zen and was able to kind of center myself, you know, it allowed for me to like hear other people, friends and family and stuff. So
right, exactly. The same for me. Like once I started smoking and like getting more knowledgeable on like THC and CBD, I'm just so chill.
Right.
Nothing really. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going with the flow. But I used to be so tense, and like I'm originally from New York, and having that tensity like all over the place, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna sit down, relax, watch the sun, and this and that. And once I got to my spiritual awakening, and I'm just like, whoa, I was really tense. And I'm still am sometimes, you know, like it's in the shoulders and then it's in there. But like sometimes you just have to like relax and just sit down and just take a breath and just like realize you're in this existence, you know? And what I do sometimes, I just do senses exercises. I touch whatever is around me, and I smell, and that kind of gets me to center. Even smelling plants, it's just kind of like, it's life, you know,
everything's alive, it's healthy, you know, just feeling the wind blow going outside. Yeah, no, I love that. NaMu, we've talked about so much. I feel like I'm buzzing. This is like such good energy.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if I could draw a tarot card for you, actually. And see.
Definitely.
Okay, I have an African tarot deck. It's new, so hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I forgot where I got this. Whoops, maybe Etsy? Let's see. That's what the box looks like. I think that's the Tower card, the Tower moment.
Okay. Oh, the Tower moment, yeah.
African tarot deck. Do you use tarot cards at all?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what all of them like mean automatically? And
mainly I use certain tarot, but I mainly use a lot of oracle decks.
What's the so this is also what I need to like. I need to just do a search and be like, what is that? An oracle deck.
Oracle is very different from tarot. So like tarot has the they have the temperance card, and you know the that's mainly more like the tarot, where they have like the Tower moment and things. Oracle is just more like intuitive messages. Like they have where it's just simple, where it's like, okay, you ask a question, and that's mainly the focus of the reading. You know, it's probably like a card saying that, or alignment. You know, the person has to get more in line with themselves, something like that. Where tarot is more, even though it's more detailed and it's more straightforward, a person can get like a reading like that too. You know, but oracle just kind of just means it's more give me more generalized in a message where a person can have like, okay, is there any advice where I can go about this job opportunity? And it could just be a simple word where it's like just enlightenment, or it could just mean where they could just move forward. It could be a word. And that's where article kind of comes from too. I like to use both.
Yeah, so maybe that's the other one that I have. It's called, what's it called? They're kind of like say it like it is, like cards or whatever, but it's kind of like they have like messages that are more like it's just sentences. There's no like pictures, like
right, and that could just be based off of oracle, or you know, I feel like cards can just come in different forms, you know, too. You know,
I feel like I've been pulling a lot of the same kind of cards, so I'm curious to see what I pull for you. So when I shuffle the deck, I normally ask, like, you know, ancestor spirit guides, like, what message does NaMu like need to hear right now? And then I just look at the cards, and this one was speaking to me. Okay, so this is. Okay, so this is the back of it, if we want to see the design. But this is the King of Cups.
I like the colors.
Yeah, so the King of Cups, he's got little cups, he's got a little thing on his...
these are beautiful cards.
Right. I'll let you know what the name is in a second. So the King of Cups, because I don't know what everything is by heart, I have to look through the book. Okay, here we go. So... The King. The King represents full control of one's emotions and the ability to balance them with logic. It indicates someone who is mature and diplomatic. Whoa. So I feel like kind of even our whole discussion where we were talking about like emotions and like, you know, like the release from like the last full moons, like there is some I've picked up on like your level of like just like awareness and control of that, to be able to know what you need when you need that release. And that's exciting.
Thank you. And I think that's a major arcana, the King of Cups. Major arcana,
Yeah. Okay, so this was based on the pictorial key to the tarot by Arthur Edward Waite, compiled by Brian Wenger. So if anyone, I'll put that in the bottom if anyone wants to check out these tarot cards. I just think it's a fun thing to like pick cards and to get a message.
Like it's so much fun too. Like because it's just kind of like
affirmation.
It's affirmations. I also feel like too kind of keeps your mind going too. You know?
Thinking about like, okay, so what is this specifically talking about, or you know, this and that. I was noticing, and you work in this industry. This is like kind of what's around you like all the time. But like, do you get caught up in feeling like you want to step away from it because you're like, I don't want to like know, like with your birth chart, like knowing that certain phases are coming or whatever? Do you ever just feel like, ugh, it's too much to know?
Yeah, sometimes I kind of like step away from it because it could be just too much. Because when you're feeling it and then you're seeing it at the same time, it could be way too much. Yeah. And sometimes, like, I don't even read for myself. I ask, you know, some close friends that do offer like services like I do, and I just ask them, hey, can you pull a card for me? You know, just a simple or just pull a few cards to see what's going on, because sometimes like I like to have a different perspective, you know. And when I do that, like it kind of like brings some certain clarity in me, and like I'm like, okay, all right, let's do next, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes I just even go to my altar and just talk to them, like, hey, you know, it's a little rough right now, but it could be a lot. It could be a lot because it's just, even with this Mercury retrograde and Pluto and Saturn, and I'm just like, whoa. And I had Gemini rising, so it like I feel it, and I feel it. But it's been like helping me because like after this full moon, I feel like I'm already like charged up.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Hit the ground running. Yes.
Yeah, get the ground running. And I just feel like just pulling, sometimes I just pull a card just like for the day. And I'm just like, wow, like this came out, and I just kind of go through, I just kind of write, like even from my services, like for my NaMu Astro Daily, like on Instagram and Facebook, I do sometimes, I like during the full moon, I did like rainbow child messages, indigo child messages, and I just start doing some stuff new, that I don't do before, like I didn't do before. So doing that, well, I got a lot of reaction doing that.
Yeah.
And like, we need to do that again, and because I feel like, all of us working through our inner child, we have to kind of work through not just the inner child, but work through our teenage self too, and work through the whole our own 20s and stuff like that. And because we get into that prime time in our 30s, that we sometimes not just forget, but we do have to heal through all ages of our lives,
That's so spot on. I feel like that's what I've been feeling now, and like what I have some friends in Thailand, and they're kind of like giving similar feedback that this is a time where it's like not only we're digging deep and going back for inner child work, and things are starting to show up in our adult life now more than ever, that there's still unresolved things there, but it's just in like you have to go to that like toddler phase, and then like the kid phase, and then when you were a teenager, high school, that's a whole thing in and of itself to go back to high school, right? And to kind of like unpack all of that. Right now, do you know which signs would be like more, which signs might be feeling this energy like a little bit more right now? Like you said, you have a Gemini rising. Yeah,
I feel every sign, because we do have Pluto and Saturn. So that Pluto is Scorpio energy, and then Saturn is that Capricorn energy. So I feel like a lot of signs are feeling the energy, but mainly air signs are like Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and we into this Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. So they're gonna be feeling that as well. But I also feel too that since this past full moon, I feel like a lot of fire signs feel this effect.
Yeah.
Especially because I have a lot of fire friends. I have Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo, but they all have different placements.
Right.
So I definitely feel like the fire signs are feeling it, but also I feel like they feeling it in internal, like they feeling it more like inward than outward. So they are feeling everyone's energy and combined to theirs.
Yeah.
Because it's the fire, but it's also that fire and air, because we got to go through those elements. And it's the year of the ram. And Chinese astrology is the year of the ram.
Yep.
So altogether, like, it really depends on your chart, but it also depends on the element you're working with too. You could be a fire sign, but you could be working on your earth energy, and during this time, and because you're keeping yourself grounded. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm a water sign, but I'm also balancing my air and water energy too. Because we gotta balance all elements. And
that's like like what you're saying about balancing all of the elements in it, for like that's just like across the board with everything in life, right? Like whether it's your love languages, whether it's your communication styles, whatever, like work-life balance, and I'm a fire side as well, but my rising is Scorpio, so it's like I have water, fire, and then my moon is Virgo, so I have earth, and like I do have Aquarius in my chart. It's my Saturn. So like there's a lot of trying to tap into what you need, and it's different from different days. Like I did acupuncture for the first time last week, And that opened up so many chakras for me, and like my heart, like she was feeling my pulse, and she was like, I know you came to here because you said you wanted help with your neck area. She's like, but I'm feeling like heart energy. She's like, your heart is, she's like, I don't know what you've been through, but, and I was just like, yeah. I was like, well, if you know what to do, can you help? And she did, like, you know, she did like some Reiki stuff, you know, did the acupuncture. And by the time I left, the next 3 days, it was like the weight was like lifting off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Tapping into that, tapping into, I think of air as words too. So people who are air signs, like if they're trying to manifest or whatever, it's like speaking, talking. Yeah.
Speaking, talking. That's the throat chakra. Fire signs is really, I feel like fire signs during this time, I believe like the throat chakra as well, but also mainly more the solar plexus, you know, and the sacral chakra, you know, because that could be all combined into like a lot of things, because fire signs take hold on to a lot of energies, you know. And especially with my Aries friend, what we've been doing, me and her, we've been like doing Tai Chi at her studio, our studio. And our last Tai Chi class blew my mind, where we even like did all the elements, but the air element, where we just had to like concentrate on just like the movements and stuff like that, and that's air, but we had to be focused on the pressure, the strength, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, this shit blew my mind. It got so deep to where it was just like, whoa. We looked at each other like whoa, like it was a ha moment. And we didn't realize that we are balancing our elements and balancing our chakras through Tai Chi, you know. So even like I came in there very hot, because I was just like, I came in a few minutes late because like I didn't know they had class. But when she called me, I was like, girl, it's about to be 3 minutes like to 6. Why you call me earlier? So I had to get ready and things like that. But like once I cooled down, I was just grounding myself. You know what I'm saying? So when we do even activities for fire signs, I know for sure, like, you know, grounding yourself, just being more relaxed to the water, or to just to the sand, or just feeling the sun and the grass. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, because sometimes, and for me, I feel like even on water, it's just doing some activities where kickboxing or something like that could just boost my adrenaline. You know what I'm saying?
Complements the signs. I love that. Like when you know when you know those elements and the placements and that are in you, it's like using the natural world and like activities and, you know, things to kind of like nurture those things. Like I'm definitely water based when I need soothing, like definitely going to the beach, lots and lots of showers. But some days when I feel like oversaturated with emotion, maybe it's like I'll go to the beach, but I'm not getting in. I'm just gonna stay in the sun, you know, like
and then just looking at it. And like we all have different elements in us, and it could, like, for instance, a Gemini person can love the water but not love going in it. They just like the smell, or the way the waves come in, and just hearing it, or just hearing the wind sometimes, and they might have like water, like let's just say Cancer, or sometimes even like a Virgo moon, or just an Aries moon. Sometimes they just like to see fire, you know, and it doesn't really matter. Whatever is comfortable with you, seeing what type of nature element you want to be in, you know, and because it does balance whatever elements you do have, you know, so it just but it also balances, you know, your chakras or anything like that. Just doing some activities, just doing simple meditating or Tai Chi or martial arts, or just even dancing alone.
Yeah, so much energy to get out. Great music, turn it all the way up. Yeah,
right. I feel like twerking just kind of helps with everything. It can help with your root chakra, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But just dancing by yourself, with your underwear, bra on, or just boxes on, just dancing, it helps you with your mood,
Yes, I love it. Movement therapy for sure. Especially when I go through like my like depressive episodes, it's like I roller skate. I try to roller skate at least once, and then I try to dance at least once. And like even today, I had like a little dance like party in the shower, and I was like, "Where did that come from?" And I was just like, "I think it's just lifting that energy. It's coming out."
Right, and then like even one of my clients, they were working through their inner child. I was like, what's one thing that you love to do when you're a child? Playing basketball. I told them, go next day, don't sit at home, go play basketball. And then you don't just shoot hoops by yourself.
Yeah.
And then like wow, like just going to the basketball court or going to the gym, then have a basketball court, just doing that for 10 minutes just helped me.
Yeah.
Just doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? I know for sure me doing like heavy workout, like doing martial arts, really does help me too. And it just kind of brings in that power mode for me. So I'm just like, damn, wow, like I'm working on a lot of things, but it's helping me get out. It's helping me to release a lot of tension,
I'm so inspired by your like experiences and your advice too. Like everything you're saying is like so spot on. I'm like, yes. Listeners and viewers, listen to her.
Right.
Yes. Let's see. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I feel my edible kicking in. I'm like, ooh, what's happening?
Right. I think we covered a lot, but people can reach out to me on my website. It's NaMu astrodaily.com. And also you could find me on my link tree.
Okay. What's your link tree?
linktree.com/NaMu astrodaily as well. You can also book a reading or book a consultation with me. I totally forgot about this, but I also do mantra meditations as well, and it's complimentary.
Wow. So with the mantra meditation, is that like in person, or do you do that over Zoom or online sometimes, or?
I do that more virtually, but anyone that's like in a tri-state area or like, that's close by, I try to do it in person. But I definitely want to do it more in person now since close to everything.
Things are opening up. Yeah.
And I also do offer Black men mantra meditations, but it's also combined to like event session as well. So I also do that during like their mantra meditation. It's kind of like a boost of affirmations, but it's also centering whatever you're going through at the time, whatever you're suffering. We kind of reframe who you are, and you get it back to the center.
I love that. It sounds super empowering. Yeah. I'm going to put your information down below as well. And you can follow NaMu on Instagram, right? And you said it's
at NaMu Astro Daily.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, NaMu, for joining me. This was an amazing chat with Hi Friends, and I can't wait to see what else you come up with in the next couple of months too. Like I've learned so much just from today, so thank you.
This was definitely needed.
All right, well, I'll speak with you soon.
Okay, so talk to you soon. Bye.
And that's the show. I hope you liked it. Bye, friends.